Hello and welcome to Find Out Nation. I am one of your hosts, Jamie,
I'm one of your hosts, Nicole.
and we're here today to talk about some politics and whatnot. First of all, I was late joining the recording, so you have Nicole to thank for this episode because she's the one keeping our shit together. Otherwise, I would just be falling off a cliff. So thank you, Nicole, for keeping us in line. So tomorrow, the countdown for the inauguration today is easy.
Yes, we are on
Tomorrow.
Inauguration Eve.
Okay. With that in mind, I think maybe we start talking through the inauguration that's going to happen. You and I were just talking about whether or not we'll be watching tomorrow. I am boycotting. You're boycotting.
Yeah, I've seen the clown show. I don't need to see it a second time.
Indeed. I will have the TV on so that if something magnanimous happens, like a building blows up or who knows, the protesters come out in full, whatever.
Yeah. As soon as I get the news alert, I'll turn it on.
That's right. I'll have a news alert going on tomorrow,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, I'm certainly not going to watch it. You were mentioning to me today that with the inauguration moving indoors, that's only like the second time that's ever happened.
Yeah, like maybe the third or fourth time, but yes, very, very rare. The excuse that they originally gave was that temperatures were going to be so cold, they were worried. I would like everyone to know that it was colder when President Kennedy did his inauguration, and the man wore no coat other than his suit jacket.
Yeah.
It was as cold. It was actually colder when President Obama did his inauguration in 2009. The temperature was the same, but they had 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds that day. So the feel-like temperature was very cold. And that National Mall was full of people.
Packed.
So, yes. So this is a whole political optics fucking stunt that
100%.
we're moving it into the rotunda where only 600 people are allowed and none of his supporters. And which, let's also remind people, his supporters know how to get into the rotunda. They've been there.
Yes, they have. There. It would be hilarious if they ended up, well, you know,
I mean, this is the people's house, right? This is what they fucking said January 6th. This is my house. My taxes pay for this shit. You can't restrict my access. Fuck you.
That's right.
Have the same energy for this.
Because to your point, like, in all fairness, we all know the reason they've moved it inside, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's clear.
His micro penis is worried about his crowd size.
That's right.
Yes.
His micro penis is worried about his crowd size. 1,000%. He knows no one's going to show up. And the 12 people that did buy tickets, though, are going to be super fucking pissed because now they have to watch it from inside the arena.
And, oh, sorry, I'm cutting you up. Sorry, I'm so riled up about it.
All the time. Go ahead.
I want people to also remember that the optics of this is that guess who does get to go into the rotunda? Zuckerberg, Musk, the CEO of TikTok, all these fucking millionaires and billionaires that have funded his entire bullshit campaign up to this point. They'll be sitting right there with him. But all you MAGA supporters that don't have that kind of money, well, fuck you. You're left out in the cold.
They're poor people. They can be in the arena.
Exactly.
The rich people sit in the rotunda.
Yes.
So Trump posted on Truth Social, apparently, I've ordered the inauguration address in addition to prayers and other speeches to be delivered in the United States Capitol Rotunda, as was used by Ronald Reagan in 1985. Also because of very cold weather. So this is a tribute
to
the great Ronald Reagan, apparently.
Who we can still thank today.
That's right.
For the issues.
Right. In addition to the cold weather. So so clearly he's doing the people's work here. This is the people's work.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan, who was also famously only cared about rich business. That's it. And poor people can go fuck themselves. So really enjoying this.
Really on brand.
Right.
Really on brand.
On brand. F you to anyone who is poor. I love this.
Yes.
Vast majority of ticketed guests will not be able to attend the ceremonies in person. They are doing the big rally at the Capital One Arena, right? Which none of that's going to be televised, right?
I have no idea.
I don't even.
I honestly
we're not keeping up on this.
Yeah, well, and I haven't seen a lot of like coverage on it. Like I don't, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I did get a news alert today that, they're worried about potential assassination attempts. And that was another reason to move this indoors. I mean, okay.
It says the arena has a capacity of just over 20,000, whereas law enforcement officials have said that over 200,000 individuals had tickets to the inauguration. I'll be interested to see what happens. I mean, you know, we are
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs fans.
Yes.
Well, I had family at the Chiefs Miami game. If people want to be there, they'll be there. This clearly, in my mind, was, a
Oh
political
yeah.
stunt. We all know that.
100%.
Definitely a political stunt.
100%.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll watch it. We'll see. I mean, in all fairness, 1985, they had wind chills of -8. Tomorrow, the wind chill is supposed to be 12, which at the end of the day, don't get me wrong, is cold,
It's cold.
but it still is.
But doesn't the fire of your patriotism keep you warm? I'm just asking for a friend. Doesn't it keep you warm?
That's right. The fire of your patriotism. In all fairness, the fire of my patriotism keeps me warm. So at the end of the day, 100%, I'm with you. Oh my, tomorrow's going to be fun. I did see that there are a group of anti-Trump protesters there already. I'll be interested to see how that goes, only because, at the end of the day, anything that's going on for this inauguration, I feel like is going to be just a fucking clown car shit show, total whatever.
Yes.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hopefully most of you are not watching it along with us and are going to boycott it. Speaking of boycotts,
I might have thrown a temper tantrum today.
TikTok was banned.
And Musa.
Yeah.
Musa, I'm so fired up today. It's ridiculous.
All right, talk to me about TikTok.
So here's what infuriates me. I need everybody to remember Trump is the one that initially called for the ban of TikTok in August of 2020. He's the one that started this whole fucking train moving, okay? Then it got put into the bill. It was part of the aid package that was put in front of Biden. He fucking signed it. TikTok did what was required of them. They've sat in front of Congress. They've answered these questions. They have done their legal battle. The Supreme Court on Monday came out and upheld the ban, like all the things. But so what they've been saying the entire time, and what's in the law, I'm going to paraphrase because clearly I don't fucking know the law word for word. But what was in the law was that when the ban went into effect, which was not supposed to happen until today, was that you would no longer be able to get it off the App Store. If you already had it on your phone, you'd still be able to access it. You'd still be able to use it. There would not be any further updates because you couldn't get it on the App Store. And if Google and Apple and whatever didn't take it off the App Store, they would be the ones having to pay the fines for it. So the CEO of TikTok is going to be sitting right there with all the other tech moguls at the inauguration tomorrow. When Biden extended the ban by 36 hours because he said, I'm not going to be the one responsible for shutting it down. We will put this squarely on Trump's front door come Tuesday morning. The CEO of TikTok played a political stunt and is manipulating the American people because they shut that shit down last night. And now when I get on my phone, it says, because the U.S. has banned TikTok, you can't access this. Thankfully, President Trump is going to reassess this on Tuesday and we'll bring it up. Go fuck yourself. I've already deleted it off my phone. I want nothing to do with this. Fucking shenanigan bullshit. I'm so goddamn livid over it. I'm livid over it.
I'm with you. And what is killing me is that this is what our youth will care about.
Yep.
So to your point, and this is where Democrats are getting absolutely fucking filleted.
Yes.
Is that it is the story is going to be the Democratic-led House approved this ban. Biden signed it into law. Trump came along and saved it.
Yep.
Correct. And there is, we are sitting back and watching it happen. We know that now TikTok is going to say, oh, thank you, President Trump, for allowing TikTok to come back.
for even 90 days while we try to find an investor.
That's right.
This shit's been going on since 2020.
That's right. But they want to make sure that it's painful enough that we all are sad that it went away. And this is the thing people will care about. Mark and I were talking about it this morning, and I'm like, he's like, who cares? Who cares? Because he doesn't actively spend a lot of time on TikTok. He can watch reels on Facebook or what have you. But there are people that their only social media action is going on TikTok and watching it TikTok. And there are creators out there who their entire business is creating TikTok. And to be honest,
and small business owners.
Yeah, absolutely. And our youth all think they're going to get rich on TikTok. Like, I was watching a show. So we published a YouTube, and then I published an audio version of this to all the podcast sites. We don't create shorts. We don't create reels because it would take me time to do it. And I do not expect at my age to get famous or rich off of this podcast. I am here because it's the only way that I can work through my processing my emotions with the current political upheaval. With that said, a lot of the youth do think that this is how they're going to become rich and famous, right? This is going to be it. And so they do feel like banning TikTok is banning a method of them someday rising through the ranks. And so this absolutely, from a political stunt, I am sorry to say, is a genius move on Trump's part for him to go to the leaders of TikTok. I'm positive, and say, hey, listen, you put this up there and I will save you. 100%. It's a political stunt, and it's a genius political stunt, and it's people are going to remember it.
And it's been infuriating since the beginning in 2020 when he called for the ban, because they have never proven that any of our data is compromised. It's a total infringement of First Amendment rights. And this is what fascist nations do. When they can't control the fucking narrative on a website, on an app, they shut it down. They can control the narrative on X and on Meta, because they're all in his back pocket. He couldn't control the narrative on TikTok. And I have never made a TikTok in my life, but I loved TikTok. I have learned so much from people. I bought my kitchen pans on TikTok. I have laughed my ass off on TikTok. I spent all day yesterday trying to find some of my favorite people on Instagram and other platforms, because I just knew it was fucking coming. I did not expect what I got when I logged on this morning. And I only logged on this morning because I started seeing shit on Meta that was like, I can't get on TikTok. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's supposed to still be available on our phones.
No.
So I just totally threw a fucking temper tantrum and deleted the whole goddamn thing off my phone. And I probably won't go back to it now because I'm fucking livid at the stunt.
So to your point, it is. It's absolutely. And if I was TikTok and the current administration had all sorts of promises to me for, doing this for them, I can't say I blame them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, it's a business decision, right?
This, unfortunately, and I think what is really infuriating with these types of scenarios is that there's not a lot of options. Red Note is, the option that people were talking about, but I keep seeing memes about like, oh, now my child is a Mandarin bride because of the T's and C's I just signed on Red Note. Like, people, right?
Yes.
And to your point, Nicole, exactly right. As far as like the point of the reason we brought it up was we don't want the Chinese government to have access to our data. But at the end of the day, first of all, data has become international. There's no like, I get it that like we don't want, but Mark jokes all the time about, has anyone ever heard of the white pages? Like, our names and addresses were out. Like, we published a book with our names and addresses and sent it to whoever the fuck wanted it. Like, so interestingly, I've been going back and watching The West Wing. This was, of course, for anyone who lives under a rock, this was a show about basically the White House, and it was a show from the 90s, and it was a Democratic White House for a while. It switched to a Republican. There's a lot there, but regardless. And one of the episodes talks about the criticality of privacy and how privacy is going to be like the big issue going forward with politics. at the
Mm-hmm.
time, it was implied that privacy was going to be regarded and revered by people so much that regulating privacy was going to be real super critical. But the funny thing about it is that, you know, while our parents, I'm sure, feel that way, because I know that all the boomers that I know are like, oh, privacy, privacy, privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Gen X and younger don't care. None of us care. You
Mm-mm.
want our name and address? Here you go. We have
Fucking, I
grown
know.
up. We have grown
Yeah.
up. My kid has grown up. And to your point, like, there at the end of the day, like, here's my information. Now we teach our children, don't give your social security number. Like,
Right.
there are
Right.
certain key pieces of information that obviously we're not sharing, but at the end of the day, like, you can watch me on my channel right here, and you know my political beliefs, you know how I voted in the last election, you know my
Yeah.
name, you know my husband's name, you know my child's name,
Yeah. You
you
know
know
where we
my
live.
dog's name. Like,
Yeah. You know our region.
that's
Like,
right. At the end of the day, like, and I work for a company that has enough tech that, like, I know the fronts that we're fighting. And yes, identity theft is a real problem. But at the end of
yeah.
the day, like, that's something that we're combating from an IT perspective of, we know it's going to happen. Our
Yeah.
kids know that, like, at the end of the day, while privacy is important in certain things, like HIPAA laws are a real thing, right?
Yes.
And ensuring like data breaches aren't happening is important. I work in the financial industry. PCI standards are important, and that I'm 100% I get. But sharing, like, I actively, when I got on TikTok, said, sure, share my name, share my location. Of
Yeah.
course, I put pictures up. Of course, like,
Yeah.
I think we all know that from a privacy standpoint, there are things that are out there, just like back in the day when I was a kid and my name and address and phone number were published in the fucking white pages. Like,
Yeah.
we all know that, like, data is data. And at the end of the day, while I have a big problem with misinformation infiltrating our apps,
Yeah.
I am worried about the changes to Facebook, because especially because the older generations are what's on Facebook, and they're the ones
Yeah.
most susceptible to bad information. We've seen
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So having bad information there is terrifying. But at the
Yeah.
end of the day, like, banning TikTok for the concern of our data being leaked is
Total bunch
like,
of bullshit.
right. It's like banning, well, on West Wing, they talk about, it's like banning the stock of a gun because, you know, you're trying to
Yeah.
prevent mass shootings, right?
Right.
It's like banning this little thing in a fucking ocean of
Yes.
problems, and you're not doing anything. So
Yeah.
1000%, this TikTok ban does not at all do what it intended to do.
Mm-mm.
It's a
Mm-mm.
band-aid on a gaping fucking missing limb of a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is a problem that honestly most of us don't actually are not that worried about, to be honest.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like, it's a political stunt that will make Donald Trump look great.
Like a hero.
That's right.
And yeah. And I
And the
saw
only
me.
thing I can hope for is that, like, some goddamn Democrat steps in tomorrow and offers more money to buy the fucking thing and opens it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can be like, oh, Oprah fixed our problem.
Yes.
Or George Clooney fixed our fucking problem.
Yes.
Fuck
Yeah.
Trump, you know, whatever.
Because
Like,
if it gets sold to Musk or Zuckerberg, like,
oh God.
how much more evidence do you need that it was orchestrated on behalf of Trump and them? Like, and I saw these memes. I saw this TikTok that somebody made earlier this past week, and they were like, I just dropped my social security number off at the Chinese consulate on my way to work. I don't want my Chinese hacker to lose their job. Like, these hilarious. But I need people to also remember that the Chinese government hacked in to our U.S. government office that reviews foreign investments for national security risks earlier this month.
Yes.
They're not worried about fucking TikTok.
No.
And people like us, they want to access our government. And I understand that that's why TikTok was not allowed on government phones.
Yep.
I get that. And that's the federal government's right to tell their employees, these are phones we're providing you, and you can't have these certain apps on your phones.
Sure.
But the rest of us, where's the fucking outrage?
Yep.
This is shutting down our ability to communicate, our ability to put thoughts out there that disagree with the Trump administration or disagree with our federal government. Like, it's shutting down those conversations, because now, let's not forget, while the fact checkers might be gone on Facebook, they're still going to be, I have no doubt they're still going to be shutting down conversations they don't like.
Of course, they do now. They do now
Yep.
on X. They do now. Even though, you know, the idea there was we're going to like leave X open for whatever, they do now. So
No.
at the end of the day,
yeah.
So I am also upset. To be perfectly honest, I have to give credit where credit's due, that honestly, this is a pretty genius political stunt. And I hate the fucking fact that Democrats just sat back and let it happen, because we all look like a bunch of fucking idiots. Again. That's right. Again, hopefully, like, you know, and I'll be interested to see if a Facebook or if a Zuckerberg, you know, I shouldn't say if a Zuckerberg or a Musk wants to buy TikTok. It'll be interesting to see how that happens with, well, I say like, because I'm thinking about like, you know, deregulation laws and monopoly laws and things like that. But at the end of the day, it's all of
like, who's going to stand in their way?
Everything. So of course it'll be allowed. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Jamie, what are you thinking? Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
here we go.
The only thing I can say is this is early enough in his presidency that maybe everyone will forget in 4 years.
I mean, they've clearly forgotten in the last 4 years who started the bullshit.
Exactly.
Who started the train running.
Exactly.
Because they want to blame the Democrats, and the Democrats have share in the blame. But let's not forget who fucking started it.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Okay, well, never say never. Maybe George Clooney will buy it, and then you can get back on TikTok and not.
Then I can get back on. That's true.
That's right.
That's true.
I mean, at the end of the day, if it's a different company that owns TikTok, you know, it is what it is. And I'm sorry to say that at my age, I still use Facebook. So,
I do too.
As much as Mark Zuckerberg pisses me the fuck off, the fact that we don't have the best alternatives to some of these social media apps. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm on Blue Sky as well, but with the three people that are on there with me, shockingly, like I'm not going there every day for my updates. So I don't know. Maybe it's time for us to take a moment as a nation and reevaluate our social media usage and whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll stick with YouTube. You know, I'm very happy with my Google overlords. We'll stick with YouTube and call it good with that.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. The next topic of conversation is one that actually hits very near and dear to our hearts because we are in Missouri.
Yes.
So there's a new state law that has been introduced about procedures for creating a covenant marriage.
Yeah.
This was something I was not that tuned in to because I've never heard of a fucking covenant marriage. But Nicole is fired up about it.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you explain to us. I read about it and I'm like, what the fuck? So
welcome to The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah.
Seriously.
So, I mean, it came to my attention because I saw a news article. No, that's a lie. I saw a TikTok about the covenant marriage law that's trying to get passed in the state of Oklahoma. And I was like, you got to fucking be kidding me. And this woman.
So what's a covenant marriage?
A covenant marriage is literally defined as a marriage between a man and a woman in front of a clergy person. So it is different than your traditional state marriage license. It's a specific marriage license that you're going after. Okay. So when I was looking up Oklahoma's House Senate Bill 228, I then was like, oh, I bet Missouri's got some bullshit like this. Because I also feel like while what's happening at the federal level is vitally important and we must pay attention to that, we also must pay attention to what's happening at the state level, because Trump's whole thing is it's a state problem. It's a state problem. And so when that happens, you've got to pay attention to what's happening at the state level.
That's true. And to your point, I mean, that fundamentally, I mean, since the inception of the country, that has been the difference of, do we act as more of a national or do we really allow things to go back to the states? And Republicans have always been more about states' rights and how
Yeah.
states work. And so, to your point, unless of course it benefits them to have it on a federal
Right.
level, regardless,
Yes.
or if they need assistance because there's been a huge like national disaster, then it comes down
Yes.
to what can we get from the federal government. Which, by the
Yes.
way, of course, right now our Republican brothers and sisters are not wanting to give aid to those
The
in California,
California.
which
Yeah.
is super awesome.
Because it's a
Regardless,
Democratic run state.
right? Right. So, woosah, I'm not going to go down that right now.
Yeah.
But back to the
Yeah.
covenant marriage. So,
Yeah.
the way I interpret this, right, is like a covenant marriage because it is declared by to your point, clergy person, because it's religious in nature. It's harder to get a divorce if you're in a covenant marriage, right?
Yes, there's a whole thing. So I do want to say that it's House Bill 562. It has been read twice, but there has not been any further action to put it on the House calendar. So just to put that out there, that doesn't mean that that won't change. But here's the declaration of intent to enter into a covenant marriage. It states, we solemnly declare that we believe that marriage is a covenant, which that's a religious term, between one man and one woman who agree to live together as husband and wife for as long as they both live. We have chosen each other carefully, have received premarital counseling on the nature, purposes, and responsibilities of marriage. We understand that a covenant marriage is for life, that we have received counseling regarding the seriousness of covenant marriage, including all the legal requirements of individuals when entering into covenant marriage. If we experience marital difficulties, we commit ourselves to take all reasonable efforts to preserve our marriage, including marital counseling. With full knowledge of what this commitment means, we do declare that our marriage will be bound by Missouri law on covenant marriage and promise to love, honor, and care for one another as husband and wife for the rest of our lives. So then it also goes down into because there's like this, what happens if you've previously obtained a standard marriage license, but want to convert the standard marriage license to a covenant license, you have to have a notarized a testament to that you're going to follow the rules, blah, blah, blah.
And you had to go through counseling, right? Like you have to go through special counseling.
So then I went down through it further because I'm like, okay, so what does this mean necessarily? So it says, and I also wanted to know about what happens if this marriage is not working. Like, because to me, this is a way to trap women into a marriage, to make it harder for women to divorce.
100% at a young age, especially at a young age.
Yes.
Because I was reading about it a bit, and there's only 3 states right now that have a covenant marriage: Arizona, Arkansas, and Louisiana.
Of course.
And so, like, at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying, you know, I'm racking my brain. I did not realize that there is a stronger marriage license than a standard marriage license.
Right.
I thought just a marriage license is a marriage license.
Is a marriage license.
No, you can get a covenant marriage license.
Yes.
And to your point, be a young girl trapped in a covenant marriage because you are part of some religion that tells you you should get married. And now the only way you can divorce is like in reading
oh my God.
Yes.
It's a fucking nightmare.
Yes.
Like, if you've entered into a covenant marriage, you can file a petition for legal separation at any time, but a petition for dissolution of covenant marriage shall be filed only after the court has ordered a legal separation. The court may enter temporary orders at any time after a petition for legal separation. Okay, so regardless of whether a husband and wife have entered into a standard or covenant marriage, if there is a court-ordered requirement that divorcing or separating parents with at least one minor child are required to attend a parenting education class, the parties may opt for a faith-based alternative. If a husband and wife have entered a covenant marriage, the court shall require that both parties attend 40 hours of marital counseling before a dissolution may be granted. You're only required to do 8 hours to enter a covenant marriage, but you're required to do 40 to get out of it.
That's right.
Counseling may be provided by either a faith-based organization or professional counselor. If you've entered into a covenant marriage, the court shall not enter a decree of dissolution until 2 years have passed after the initial filing.
Yeah.
The court shall grant a dissolution for the divorce only after first ordering a legal separation, unless there's adultery, habitually abuse of drugs or alcohol, committed a felony, or been sentenced to death or imprisonment in a federal, county, municipal facility. Spouse has physically or sexually abused the other spouse or a child or relative living in the home, or they've abandoned their matrimonial domicile and not been in contact with the other spouse for 2 years, or the spouse refuses to return.
So that's what I was reading, is that the only ways to get a divorce is one of these things has to be true. They have to have cheated on you, and you have to be able to prove it, by the way.
Not just an allegation.
That's right. The spouse has to have committed a felony, or they have to engage in substance abuse, or they have to have physically or sexually abused the spouse or child. Notice how we did not say emotionally abused. It has to be physical or sexual
verbally.
abuse.
Yeah.
And again, there has to be proof.
Yep.
Or they have had to have been living separately for a minimum amount of time. And to your point, they have to go to the courts to get a dissolution so that they can basically like separate. And then they have to like file to be divorced. So I'm to your point, there's not a lot of like I'm married and I know getting a divorce would be a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
To me, there's only one reason to go through with a marriage that makes it even harder to get a divorce. And that's because I'm trying to trap another person into a marriage with me. Like, how sad is that? And so, I watch trashy television.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
I have been watching Selling in SLC. It's another Bravo show.
I have not started watching it. I haven't watched it. Okay. Yes.
Okay. And then I did the whole Sister Lives of Mormon Wives. I did that one.
Oh, yeah.
The Mom Talk, which, by the way, what are they going to do now that they don't have?
No shit. And I loved that show. Yeah.
Oh, God, it was fabulous.
I binged it. Yeah.
The number of marriages I have seen, and we watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's that.
Why am I so dark all of a sudden?
I don't know. There you go. It got better. Okay. The number of women married to men that are clearly gay.
Yes.
This is what
it's
religion does
marriage.
to people, is that it. So then I watched this show on Netflix that was about the whole Pray the Gay Away movement on the right, the religious right, when like they were able to like pass the number of people that get sucked into a religion, whatever that religion is, that tells them they can't be gay, or that a 15-year-old is old enough to get married, or that women should be subservient to men, whatever the religious undertones are. The number of people that get sucked into religion, so some sort of religion that tells them how they need to be in their relationships. And these people are living goddamn horrible fucking lives in their relationships. So on this Selling on SLC, there are two guys that are, oh God, sorry. Okay. Yes. I have a camera that does this to me. I'm so sorry. Anyway, the number of people. So there are two guys that are selling houses that at least appear, and don't get me wrong, I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form, but I'll tell you that I was in love with a gay man for years.
And we have enough gay people in our life that I'm just always like, you're free to be who you are around
gay people in our lives that generally my gaydar is pretty spot on.
Yes.
Like most of my friends will tell you my gaydar is pretty spot on. And they are at least giving super strong like bisexual vibes that I'm pretty. And can I tell you that in at least the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and on this, there's a major scandal that is sexual in nature by these men because they are searching for their.
They can't be who they are.
Exactly. They are so unhappy in their sexuality that then they have these huge so on the Mormon Lives, I think it's Whitney, her husband.
Yes.
Like who's gonna tell her? Your husband's gay.
I don't care how many fucking kids you have with him, honey.
That's right.
I don't care.
That's right. It's clear that there's no doubt in my mind the man is gay. And then of course, there's this huge sexual scandal because he's cheating on her with a whole bunch of women because he's trying to find the person he wants to have sex with, which is actually a man.
A man.
Okay. On Selling SLC, whatever the goddamn name of the show is.
Yeah.
One of the guys who clearly gay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. You have kids. Great. Good for you. But you're clearly gay, is going to the strip club all the time. And he's like super, he gets in trouble because he's married and he's LDS and whatever. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He's going to the strip club because he's uncomfortable with his sexuality. So he's looking for like the answer to what's going to make him actually want to have sex with women, and it's men. He wants to have sex with men. Like
It's
there's
not
no doubt. He
women.
wants
It's
to have
not
sex with men.
women.
That is
Yes.
why, like he said. So this is all to say, and I've gone off on a fucking tangent, and I apologize about this, but these religious type approaches to
Yeah.
relationships and marriage, and what the relationship, what your family should look like, what your marriage should look like, is really damaging to people.
Yes.
And these covenant marriages, to your point, are just a way to trap people into relationships,
yes.
men or women, but let's be honest,
but mostly women.
15-year-old women, right? Like that,
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry to say, but it's, and so these types of things, when you start instituting things like covenant marriages, you're doing damage. Like, I'm sorry to say. So the show that I was watching on Netflix, which I can't, it's one of these pray the gay ways. And it's these like, where they, sent these kids off to, basically force them to not be gay, right? Religious camps or whatever. When you do those kind, like the people that were big into those and like preached about how they are so full of guilt and so full of trauma now because they forced people into those situations. And I'm sorry to say, but this is why we have such, in my mind, there's such a heavy mental health crisis in this country, or this is a lot of it, is the anxiety and pressure and craziness that we put on people, all in the name of God. If you want to be a godly person, if you want to be a religious person, you'll go get a covenant marriage. You'll go get married and have a bunch of babies in the Latter-day Saints church and the Mormon church. Like this is what godliness looks like. And if you deviate from that at all, you're going to hell.
And I would like people to know, or to remember at least, that most of the time, if you're married in a church, especially like in the Catholic religion for sure, and I think most religions, they require you to do premarital counseling.
Yeah.
And, in order to, so the religion already has its own stipulations around marriage. Yeah. Like it's hard to dissolve a marriage in the Catholic Church.
If you want to get married in the Mormon temple, I mean, there is so
you have to
much
go
you
through
have to
all
go
these.
through.
Yes. You have to go through the missions. You have to do all these things. Like every religion has the requirements.
Yep.
We don't need this at the state level. This is a violation at the state level. The one thing I will say that is a difference so far in Missouri's law that they're trying to pass versus Oklahoma's is that Oklahoma gives you a tax break if you enter into a covenant law. If you enter into a covenant law, yes, ma'am, they will give you.
Why?
1 through 5. If you file your taxes as married filing joint, you get a $2,500 tax break on your taxes.
But do you have to be in a covenant marriage to get that?
Yes. $1,250 if you file separately. Yes. For tax year 2025 and subsequent tax years, there shall be allowed a credit against the tax imposed for individual taxpayers in a marriage resulting from the issue of a covenant marriage license.
Why? Is it because we think that like you're going to spend less time in the state court? Like, is the point you're going to spend less time in the state courts because you're not getting divorced?
I don't know.
Like that is dumb as, oh my God. Okay.
But how many people will that, because let's be clear, Oklahoma is a poor state.
Yeah.
How many people will be like, fuck it, let's go into a covenant marriage because I can get this tax credit without any thought of what the implications are going to be later down the road for you?
I would.
This is huge.
To your point, I'm fairly certain that I'm not divorcing Mark unless he, for some reason, fools around on me. And if so, I'm probably going to jail and committing a felony as well. So honestly, I would hit a lot of those points in the why to get divorced in a covenant marriage. And my husband would probably be dead at that point. So what does it matter? Regardless, to your point, $2,500 is not nothing. Right. It's not like it would be worth it to just be like, okay, fine, I'll enter a covenant marriage.
Yeah. And like in Missouri, it makes me wonder if like, is this what houses of worship are going to be pushing on their parishioners? Is it going to be like, you have to go through our counseling anyway to get married in the church? This law only requires 8 hours of it. So go ahead and enter a covenant marriage. Like this is just ripe for abuse. Okay. It is ripe for abuse.
1,000%. And can I ask you, I know I don't understand why. Like, So my mother always jokes she doesn't answer why questions. Why do I don't understand why I get why like the Mormon church wants you to get married and have a bunch of babies because theoretically you're having a bunch of Mormon babies and that's
Right.
exactly what happens, right? Is
Yeah.
you get married and you have babies and whatever. So I understand, and this is the whole point of like the man and a woman non same sex marriages.
Because again, let's be yeah, same sex marriages cannot enter into a covenant marriage.
So I will say that some states you can, which is great, but at the end of the day, like,
Would you want to? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I mean, $2,500 is
Because Missouri is
$2,500.
very
Like,
clear. Yeah, but I mean, Missouri is very clear that it's between a man and a woman, which also
yes,
begs the question: is this now making it ripe to restrict even a regular, standard, traditional marriage license to our same-sex loved ones?
well, and
Like, is this the path we're going down?
I just, I, you know, so the abortion question from a religious standpoint, I get because people who are pro life, they'll tell you that abortion is murder. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's a clear ethical and moral conversation here that people have. You and
Mm-hmm.
I have had this conversation. I like 85% of people that believe that abortion should be allowed in at least some cases. And if that's
Mm-hmm.
the case, then you don't believe it's murder and you can go fuck yourselves. That is
Right.
fully how I believe that either
Right.
you believe it's murder or you don't. And if you're saying that it's okay in some cases, then go fuck yourself because you
Right.
obviously don't believe it's murder. With that said, uh, the idea of like getting married and same-sex marriage I don't understand. The only reason I can believe that certain people are worried about same-sex marriage is because they want to have sex with other people of the same sex as them.
Yeah.
I
I don't
don't
know why we even have to call it same-sex marriage. Can't it just be marriage? It's just
exactly.
fucking marriage.
But my
Why
point
wouldn't
is
they?
it's the only reason that people like if you care, there's only one reason why you should
Yeah.
care, because if you are attracted to people of the same sex as you.
Yeah. And you're
Otherwise,
trying to hide it.
right. Otherwise, why do you care? The same with
Yeah.
covenant marriage. If you're confident and comfortable in just getting married, then
Yeah.
the only reason why you care about creating a covenant marriage is because you want to force a person to stay in a marriage with you because you know
Yeah.
that you can't get married and make anyone stay any other way and you've had 6
Right.
marriages and whatever. Like honestly, I really don't understand why state lawmakers feel the need to introduce laws about a covenant marriage. Like it makes no sense to me. I
Yeah.
do
Like
not.
this is what we're worried about in this state.
Right. And then to try and entice people to get into those marriages by offering tax rebates. Like
Yeah.
why? What is the point of this? I do not
Yeah.
understand. So
And
at the end of the day,
yeah, it
I,
has to be because they're also trying to restrict who
right.
can enter into certain
To
marriages.
your point, it's in my mind the only reason to have a covenant marriage is because you are trying to allow certain types of like it's just a stepping stone to allowing other
Yep.
types of marriages or
Yep.
other types of people getting married that is bad
Yep.
because you want to be able to marry a 15-year-old or
Exactly.
you know that you want to get married to a person of the same sex, so you really are trying to put something in so that can never happen. Like that to me is the only reason why these state lawmakers that think that this is so important, that's the only reason why I
I
can
mean,
think that
it's
they
the
do
same
that.
thing with the trans laws and all the things. I'm like, this is what we're fucking worried about. We have
Well,
so many other things to be worried about other than banning trans people from
well,
playing fucking sports.
to your point,
Huh.
so I will say with the trans people, and we should have a conversation about this at some point. You and I both have the same opinion about trans laws, but I honestly can understand at least, what people's concerns are there, kind of like the abortion conversation. Like
Mm-hmm.
that to me warrants a conversation. There's a
Mm-hmm.
real conversation to be had there. But this is just batshit crazy
This
in
is
my
just
mind.
crazy. Yeah.
And so and like so I looked up the name of the damn movie and it was called Pray Away and it came out in
Oh,
2021. It's on Netflix. I highly encourage anyone to watch it if they get the chance to. But it's always gay people that like start these
Yes.
movements, right? And then they when you watch, so the church that actually started the whole Pray the Gay Away movement started in the 70s. It's still going today, but of course it's not nearly what it was. And the leaders that started those in the 70s are now out and proud gay people who are absolutely as depressed as they could be for starting these kinds of things. And so that's my point, is like the people that generally are putting these types of things in motion are the ones that it's because they actually like are just trying to like
They have
prevent that from
urges.
happening themselves. Right. Exactly.
Yep.
Oh God. I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know what
who
this
knows?
world is coming to.
I know. I don't know. Maybe Missouri will put a tax rebate in on their law, and then they'll be able to get it actually moved on to committee and onto the calendar and passed. Who the
So
fuck knows?
if you got a $2,500 credit, would you go and get a covenant marriage?
Fuck no. Fuck no, girl.
Really?
And for the same reason,
$2,500?
Nope.
$2,500 a year. And think about this: you'll be married, like you'll be paying taxes. I mean, we're not retiring for another 20 years, so $2,500. That's $50,000 that
Jamie would say, "Fuck yeah, we'll do it tomorrow."
Right.
But I just like on principle, I'm like, no. It's the same reason why when I called one of the churches around here when I was 19 years old and we were getting married.
Yeah.
And I called one of the churches around here and they were like, well, yeah, you have to do a year of counseling. I'm like, nope. And I was 19. And so then it was like, okay, we're going to Vegas. And I got married in fucking Vegas because I refused to fucking sit in front of somebody else and have them tell me whether or not we were old enough, smart enough, ready to get married. I don't need your fucking permission. I'm a goddamn adult.
Yeah, but
that's how I feel about this covenant marriage thing.
So I 1000% get what you're saying, but I am ordained.
That's true.
I can give you
That's true. It doesn't say
counseling.
Yeah, what does it say?
And sign off on your covenant marriage.
That's so true. I didn't even think about that.
In all fairness, it doesn't I am a clergy member.
Yeah,
of the Universal Ministries. I am happy to sign off. We have spent enough time as a couple that, to be perfectly honest, I have no problem signing off now. I feel that we have gone through enough therapy, that counseling together, that I'm here for you.
Yeah, because it does say that you have to receive at least 8 hours of premarital counseling from either a priest, minister, pastor, rabbi, any other clergy person of any religious sect, or a professional marriage counselor. You have to include a discussion of the seriousness of covenant marriage, which we just had. Including all the legal requirements. Camera. Communication of the fact that a covenant marriage is a commitment for life. Yeah. And communication of the fact that the obligation of a covenant marriage is to take reasonable efforts to preserve the marriage, even if difficulties arise, including the obligation to seek counseling through you in those difficult times of conflict, and the limited grounds for legally terminating a covenant marriage by dissolution or legal separation. So to your point, there are ways around.
Yes, you don't have to walk into, and can I just say, as a clergy member, I am really honestly,
as a person of the cloth,
can I tell you, I have married, quite a few people who are,
that's true.
All of them are still married today. In all fairness, I only have
a great track record.
That's right. I only have one couple that I'm not still in contact with, but all the other couples I have ever married, and we're talking like, I think I'm up to double digits at this point. They are all still married.
That's a good point.
And I threaten them with their lives if they were to ruin my track record. So none of them are getting divorced.
I could also go get ordained, because you just never know who in your life is going to need you to do something for them.
I need you to get ordained so that I can get my counseling from you. You can get your counseling from me.
That's
and at the end of the day, then that's $50,000 in savings that we could be realizing over the next 20 years.
It will be interesting to see if Missouri will try to give a tax credit like what Oklahoma is doing.
Yes.
In order to get this bill, like how serious are they in getting this bill passed on, you know what I mean, onto the calendar to be read on the floor? Yeah. Like, is that what it's going to take?
Yeah. So this is a message to everyone. If the Missouri law gets passed and you all need a clergy member to help you with your
Covenant
counseling,
marriage.
with your pre-covenant marriage
Yes.
counseling,
Yes.
I'm going to make you watch this podcast because, damn it, we got to
This is
give views
part of it.
somehow.
We discussed the seriousness of it. And
That's
yes,
right.
we need
And we got to
views
give views
somehow.
somehow. So this is how it's going to happen.
You're going to sit down and watch this fucking video
I'm
right
going to
in
get
front
some
of
views
us.
on this. We are touting the wonders of YouTube on this video.
Yes.
This is the one. This is the one
Yes.
that should get the clicks, the likes, whatever.
Yes.
Regardless. So I am here for you. I am also volunteering my services for anyone that needs a clergy member that will marry same-sex marriages. I'm
Yes.
here for you. I am touting my services. I'm here for you.
Yes.
You're welcome. So
Yes.
yes, I'm just saying that with this covenant marriage, if it gets passed, and it better come with the tax refund, because otherwise, who the hell's going to go down
What the
it?
fuck's
But,
the point? Yeah.
right. But at the end of the day, yeah, I would do this for you. You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome. All right. Well, at the end of the day, this has been interesting. This will be an interesting conversation. Did you know Mike Johnson
Oh, that fucker.
is in a covenant marriage?
Of course he is. I bet Mike Pence is a fucking in a covenant marriage. He refers to his wife as mother.
I will tell you that on the Wikipedia, which
Yeah.
I realize is not supposed to be your source.
But
rest
still,
assured,
you're citing it anyway.
I'm
It's fine.
citing it anyway on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It does say notable covenant
Yeah.
marriages. Mike Johnson, the 56th Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, his wife Kelly Larry married in. They married in 1999 as a covenant marriage.
Well, I got married in 1999 and I did not enter into a covenant marriage, and we're still going strong as well. So there's that.
There's that. I am there for you, though, when you do.
I do think that maybe I should get ordained. Then we can just do it together.
Done.
We can just really be like the powerhouse that we were always meant to be.
Right. Okay, well, good. Now we have another new hobby and venture to go through.
That's
I can't
exactly
even keep up
right.
with this one. I'm not keeping up with our old podcast either.
I know.
So clearly that's terrible. This is a terrible idea,
Yeah.
but we're going to try. We'll try.
But people will go into it fully aware of our limitations.
That's right. Of our shortcomings. 100%. We'll put it on the list. It's on the list. That's right.
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens in the coming months for the covenant marriage. We'll be watching tomorrow during the inauguration. Our next podcast that we record will be fully immersed in the Trump era. My husband keeps telling the women in his life that they only have one more day before we go back to the white
50s?
male dominated world.
And Mark's like, I'm ready for it. And
That's
then we have to
right.
remind
He's
him
here
who
for
he's
this.
around.
That's right.
Yeah,
He is
poor
here
guy.
for this. He's excited. Today we were behind a woman driving and she was going really slow. And he's like, one more day, lady. One more day.
And then you're not even going to be able to have a fucking driver's
That's right.
license. This is going to be like Iran. Like, that's how this is going to go. You're just going to have to wait for a man to shuttle you everywhere.
That's right. That's 1,000. We're all losing our licenses after tomorrow. We're all
I may not even log on to work. Fuck it. I don't even know if I'm allowed to.
That's right. We're going to be impregnated tomorrow. Like, we'll all wake up.
Which will be a real miracle for me.
That's right. It'll be a miracle. But we're going to wake up tomorrow.
It's all
They're going to
happening.
drop off our handmaids' hoods.
Yes.
And we'll all be pregnant tomorrow. So
Yes,
women
and then
of
they'll be-
America.
My shit won't last but 3 days, and then they'll put me wherever they've decided the colonies are going to be.
That's right. But tonight, enjoy your last night of freedom.
Yes, of freedom. Yes.
Women of
What do
America
you-
and
Yes.
yes, brown people of America and women of America,
Yes.
enjoy your last nights of freedom. As sad as it is, like, we're joking about it now, but unfortunately tomorrow really does start
It
a
does begin.
dark chapter of our the next 4 years are
So
going to be
dark.
painful.
That MSNBC is bringing back Rachel Maddow for the first 100 days.
Stop. Are they really?
And I am I pray at the altar of Rachel Maddow.
Indeed.
I love her. She is so fucking intelligent, so spot on.
Agreed.
I'm excited that they're bringing her back. I'm also saw it for what it was, like a holy fucking shit. And that she clearly said, you bet your ass. I'll
Yeah.
come back for the first 100 days.
Well, especially because we know that Donald Trump is saying that his first few days in office are going to be aggressive.
Yep. Well,
They're going to
yeah,
be
the
aggressive.
deportations were supposed to start Tuesday in Chicago, and now they're trying to walk it back because the Washington Post beat them to the punch
Yeah.
and announced it, and now they're pissed that they didn't get the surprise factor, which again is 1930s Germany all over again.
100%.
That you want the surprise factor to scare the shit out of people.
Yep. Trump's planning on more than 100 executive orders on day one.
Which I think is more than any other president has ever signed on their first day.
Girl,
100?
I barely had ever heard the term executive order before Trump took office.
I know.
So this will be interesting. I am sure TikTok will be on that list, specifically so that he can look like a hero. Yep. At the end of the day, I know how mad you are about TikTok, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And this is the reality.
It was a strategic business move. It was a strategic political move.
That's right.
And I get all that.
Yep.
And so was the deal that Zuckerberg did with, shutting down the fact checkers. And I didn't, in outrage, shut down my Facebook. I talked about it. I think I texted you and talked about it.
Yeah.
But I haven't done it yet. I think because I'm not surprised that Zuckerberg did that. Well, I am surprised at the stunt that TikTok has pulled.
And please remember that we don't have a lot of forums to share our opinions.
That's true.
I have a girlfriend who is, I think she hates Donald Trump more than anyone I've ever known. And I knew her in high school. I've kept up with her through the years. And to be perfectly honest, we're not we don't talk, but she posted on Facebook a really good point that if we all leave Facebook, if we all leave TikTok, if our opinions all go away, then they win, right?
They win.
Then all of the people who are undecided and haven't made decisions about things, those are the people that are now only going to hear from the right. And we can't let that happen. So as much as I hate what TikTok has done, number one, I can't blame them for doing what they did. And number two, I have to stay on these platforms, if nothing else, to continue posting the memes that say Trump can go fuck himself. So I know what you're saying. I get it. I hear you. But let's all remember that if these are the only platforms we have, so we have to continue using them to voice the dissent of the people.
Yeah.
And so I know, I hear you, I feel you, but let's please, I can't lose another voice of reason on my social media platforms, because we know Trump's going to come in and he's going to, number one, is going to reverse this ban. So
it
is what it is.
Yep.
Okay. With that, I hope you all are staying safe. For anybody that's going to the inauguration, again, please stay safe. Please don't do anything that would embarrass the whatever party you are representing. Please. So I pray to whatever gods. I am.
You pray to you, bitch.
Minister.
You're part of the clergy.
Right. To whatever
you're
God,
part of the cloth.
To the universal ministry, whatever your gods are, I am praying for peace and non-violence in our inauguration tomorrow. Just because as a country, I think we, unfortunately, the majority spoke, and this is where we're at. We will fuck around and we will find out. We will find out. Thank you all for listening. For those of you who are still listening, especially for anybody that wants a covenant marriage, come see me. If you know me, I am there for you. I did go in and I looked at our comments. And again, we have one lone comment from a friend of the podcast. So anybody that would like to speak on either to disagree with what we've said or to agree with us, please, please, please leave a comment. Like the video, share it around, subscribe, and you will get updates when they do come out. We try and meet and talk every week and post every week, but I'm really bad. And so I end up posting 2 every other week. But regardless, you can watch them in weeks. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Thank you all for joining us. And I hope you all have a safe and happy MLK Day tomorrow.
That's right.
That's right. All right. Bye.
Bye.